Hello everybody, my name is RagingRaptor and I welcome you to a new World of Tanks preview video. And today we'll have a look at two tanks in one video because, well, let's be honest, I need to somehow get over the 10 minutes mark to actually be in the YouTube algorithm. So we have today the T26E3, a tier 7 premium vehicle, and the Sherman Firefly 1C, a tier 6 premium vehicle. I do have to say though that some sources say that the Sherman Firefly 1C is a facelift of the current Firefly, but it's hard to tell, so right now I'm looking at it as a premium vehicle. But I guess the best thing is we start with the T26E3 and compare it to the T20, while the Sherman Firefly we will be comparing afterwards to the Sherman Firefly 1C. So let's have a look at the T26E3, and this is a new vehicle in the sense of that it's not yet existing in the game. It is not the T23E3, which is also a tier 7 premium medium tank. It's more actually something like a stock M26 Pershing on tier 7. So now let's have a look at the stats and compare it to the T20. It is, as already said, a tier 7 medium tank from the American tech tree. It has 1200 hit points, which makes it 100 hit points stronger than the T20. But let's be honest, it's also much bigger. The engine has a 50 horsepower of force, 39 ton is the mass, and the power to weight ratio is 12.69, which is, compared to the T20, actually really darn bad. It is roughly 6 HP to ton ratios less, or 6 HPs per ton less than the one on the T20. It's a lot less, meaning this tank will be by far not as agile as something like the T20. Comparing it to the Pershing, it will be really comparable if you have the stock engine. If you have the Pershing with the stock engine, you can actually really quickly see how the T26E3 will behave. Now, what else we have is the top speed, 48 kilometers per hour, is decent enough, but it's nothing compared to the 56 kilometers per hour of the T20. And the normal Pershing has the 48 kilometers per hour as well. Whole traverse speed is 36 degrees per second, which is 2.59 degrees worse, and third traverse degree is 37.5 degrees per second, which is 2.5 degrees faster. So there we got a point. The terrain resistance values are worse than the one in the T20. As you can see, the T20 has 0.96, 1.05 and 1.63, while our newcomer has 0.16, 1.25 and 2.01, which is comparable or exactly the same as we have on the M26 Pershing. The fuel range is 390 meters, which is also the same with the T20, but it is actually a really darn good value. If you have a decent enough crew, you have no problems, or, well, you have little problems to reach 445 meters of fuel range. But nevertheless, with brothers in arms, with a little bit of crew, with a little bit of fuel range skills, with a little bit of optics and vents, you will be reaching 445 meters of fuel range, which is for a tier 7 tank pretty impressive. And the radio range no one really cares about, but is it better? Let's have a quick little peek. It is actually better. Woo, another point for our newcomer. To the armor wise, we can have a look at the M26 Pershing and install the stock turret. And even to make it a little bit more accurate, we even can use the M3 gun, not the M3E gun. So this is like, I'm almost 100% sure that this is how the armor model of our T26E3 will be looking. So yeah, this is how it is. It has this upper front plate, it has this gun weak spot. The gun mantlet is not that strong, with 115 to, well, up to 200 millimeters thick. This is just an auto bounce. 220 millimeters thick. So yes, it's actually not that bad of a deal. The cupola is decently small. You have spicy 10 degrees of gun depression, meaning your upper front plate will be able to bounce tier 7 tier 6 and tier 5 vehicles without big of a deal. Even the turret can bounce tier 5 vehicles and tier 6 vehicles, but you can see it depends where they are going to hit. The good thing is though, compared to something like the Thunderbolt Sherman or other Sherman variants on tier 6, it is really hard to hit below here because the gun mantle is so huge when you are using completely 10 degrees of gun depression, as you can see here. The side armor is actually pretty decent, 76 millimeters of side armor. You even have this armor plate right here, which is 10 millimeters thick, and you can see, oh no, you can't see here, but you can see here that the tracks are also on that model. Meaning, hey, you also have it right here. You even can be side scraping with this tank, and this is also interesting because, as far as I remember, the Pershing or the T26 tank were called heavy tanks back in World War II, not medium tanks. So yeah, it is pretty reasonable. It has again 76 millimeters of side armor, except for back here, which is only 50.8 millimeters. Still enough to not let 122 millimeter guns auto pen you. And the back of the engine 50.8 to 90 millimeters. So RT splashing you around here will be really darn hurtful. But yeah, let's have a look at the gun, which is quite a special gun because it is already in the game. It is this gun, the 90mm gun M3, but here it's called M3E, meaning it is slightly different. We can though have a quick look at the Super Pershing, which is, as far as I remember, using the same version of this gun or a same variant, T26E3 Super Pershing. Never mind, he's using the T26E1 gun. Okay, let's get that out of the business. So right now you can see the T20 is using the M3 gun, but our T26E3 has an M3E gun. So what are the differences? Well, not in particular a lot, except for much better DPM, which is almost 300 more, excuse me, it's not almost, it's around 270 more DPM, which is more than one shot more per minute. It has better penetration with AP instead of 160, 172, which is great. It has lower premium penetration though. 243 are awesome. 207 is real darn mediocre if you think about it, that the Tiger has 203 millimeters of AP penetration. This guy has 207. Compared to something like the T20, other tier 10, not tier 10, excuse me, Tier 7 mediums have comparable penetration as far as I remember. The T43, okay, he's a special guess, is a special gun. Let's have a look at the Comet, 208, yeah, it's reasonable. The Constructors Club, I think 250 millimeters, yes, with heat. The Leo has 194. Oh, the Panther is once again really special with 244. And the T26E3 with 190. So it is actually in a pretty good spot with 207 millimeters of penetration. We don't need to have everything great in this tank, okay? As I already said, the DPM is pretty darn cool. The accuracy is the same as the T20 and the aim time is also the same. 10 and plus 12, plus 20, it's great. And you can see it has the same crew layout as our vehicle right here, our vehicles. The only problem will be if you get a tier 10 vehicle, the tier 10 tank does not have 5 crew members, only 4, meaning that you will have a leftover radio operator. But yeah, overall, I think this tank looks pretty decent as a tier 7 vehicle. And now it's interesting, somebody of my German channel said that it could probably be that those tanks either are for the new upcoming 2.0 campaign, where you can once again get some new tanks like the Object 260 campaign, or, and I also think this is a really reasonable idea, those vehicles could be tanks Wargaming wants to sell for bonds. They said that they want to sell special tanks for bonds, and I think that would be actually pretty good. It has better DPM, but it is not really OP, it is slow, it has not really that good of an armor. And yes, I think, also I don't think that this tank is overpowered or anything. It's really big, it's really big, and it has crappy speed. And the armor on the turret could also be a little bit better so far. And yes, otherwise the gun is okay, the DPM is sweet, but as already said, the premium rounds are perfectly balanced, the penetration is perfectly fine, accuracy is perfectly fine. So yeah, I think this is a pretty well balanced premium tank. Sure, it is copy paste from the M26 Pershing, but again, depends what Wargaming is doing with this vehicle. So now let's have another look at the second copy paste vehicle we have at the moment, which is the Sherman Firefly 1C, which apparently is the old version, or an older, the newer version, excuse me, the late version. And once again, we are comparing it to the normal Sherman Firefly. Personally, I really love what gun they use on the Fireflies. That's why I also really like the AC4 Experimental. But let's have a look. So actually, I'm actually pretty hyped, actually pretty hyped for the Sherman Firefly 1C. Because I don't have the Sherman Firefly in my garage, I never played it, so this tank would be really cool to get. But yeah. 750 hit points are exactly the same as the Fireflies. 400 horsepower engine is worse by 60 horsepower, and the weight with 33 tons should stay the same if we can find it. Yeah, it's the same as well. The power to weight ratio is obviously a little bit less, with 1.8 less. It is something, but it's not that big of a deal, I think. And you have a better top speed, 40 kilometers instead of 36 kilometers per hour. The whole traverse is 43 degrees, which is 1.3 degrees faster, and the third traverse is 4.8 degrees, which is 4.2 degrees faster, which is also pretty interesting. The train resistance values, they stay the same with 0.77, 0.96 and 1.73. And the fuel range with 370 meters totally is okay, and you can easily use something like Binos for such a medium TD hybrid. And radio range, no one cares about, but it is better on the late version, on the 1C version. Armor wise, well, it is exactly the same as this vehicle, so turret actually can sometimes bounce something. The side armor can maybe bounce some, it can bounce something, but do not rely on that armor, like, not at all. As you can see, 70 millimeters when you are full hull down, it's not that much on the upper front plate. And well, the turret can bounce something like your 5 shells maybe, but again, don't rely on it. Other than that, let's have a look at the gun if there are any specific changes. The DPM is slightly different, as you can see. 2085.7 against 1969. The damage is the same with 150, the penetration with 171 and 239. APCR penetration is still the same, which is absolutely fantastic in my opinion. The accuracy I think is also the same, and the aim time will still be the same. The cool thing about this vehicle is that it has the same loadout, who would have guessed, and now I just want to really assure myself that it is the same with the Centurion Action X, because in the end, premium tanks are also there to be special kind of crew trainers. So where is it? The Action X or Action 10? I don't know. There we have it. The radio man, loader, gunner, commander. Yep, exactly the same. So the Sherman Firefly 1C would be a pretty darn good premium vehicle, especially when it comes to grinding crews for the Centurion Action 10 or Action X. Overall, I think that getting this tank for a mission or a campaign, as was already said, would be great. Buying that tank for around 1,300 gold, I think it would be. I don't think it's not that expensive. Do you have the price? Okay, 3,500 gold, excuse me. It's a little bit more expensive than that. But overall, it would be a really darn good vehicle. I think the AC4 Experimental is also one of my favorite vehicles in the game. It looks so weird. It has a little dick there. A little wiener there. And yes, it has pretty amazing gun. The only drawback for the AC4 Experimental is its pretty meh accuracy, while this tank has it a little bit better, and the pretty meh speed, as you can see. Great top speed, don't get me wrong, but the power to weight ratio is pretty bleh. While this tank has a little bit better, so that's something. Yay. But yeah, what do you guys think about those two vehicles? Let me know in the comment section below, and I talk to you all later. Bye bye guys.